Chief of Police James Sutton of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force believes that the police has most of the tools necessary to do an effective job, but he believes also that more could be achieved if the public is more cooperative with information that could lead to the arrests and convictions in the fight against violent gun crimes. Speaking at a recent press conference, the Chief of Police commented on the readiness and capability of the investigative and forensic units, while indicating that fighting crime and violence must incorporate all stakeholders.
The investigative unit and the forensic unit are fully ready, but the police can only do as much, because even though you have the technical technical training, you still need that human touch to support what we are doing. So if we can get the cooperation of the general public, that will cement what we are doing. Yes, we look at sustainability, because when we implement an operation, there's a spike and then there's a lull. But what we are doing from a policing standpoint is to have the community engagement in our operations at this time, because the police will not be out there 24 hours. So we are seeking the partnership of the community in many of our initiatives. For example, presently we are in discussion with the Ministry of Education and Social Services, because we want to believe if we address our young children at an early age and nurture them in the right direction, that will transform in the rethinking of the violence that we are having. Because I will give you an example. Parenting, we realize, is one of the issues that we're having. Some parents may tell their children that anyone hit you, hit them back. And some children go with that attitude. You might tell your child, make a complaint. So we need to have a common ground in that respect. That is one area. We also look at the program, the alternative pathway, because we believe that if you teach a person, if you train a person to support themselves, they will become independent persons. We look at the programs that are happening in the prison for persons who have fallen afraid of the law, education. So we are looking at it in its greater entirety and not solely on the police. So we are spreading out, we are looking for partnership in this regard.
Sutton reported that there will be closer collaboration with Customs and the Coast Guard in the attempt to stem the flow of illegal firearms into the country. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
The NGO coalition comprising the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the Evangelical Association and the Christian Council said it is deeply concerned about the alarming rise in gun violence and murders in our communities. In a statement, the NGO coalition said, "We are appalled by the devastating impact these senseless acts of violence have on the lives of citizens and residents of this federation and the overall fabric of our society." Over the past months, the Federation has witnessed a distressing escalation in gun violence, leaving families shattered and our nation in mourning. These acts of brutality have disrupted the sense of security that is crucial for a progressive society and a tourism-driven economy. The coalition says it stands together to condemn this surge in crime and urge the government and joint services to take more aggressive measures to suppress and eliminate this scourge and bring the perpetrators to justice. It said it is committed to supporting the government and joint security services in their efforts to combat gun violence and murders. We urge all stakeholders, including civil society and the international community, to join forces in creating a safer and more secure society for all. This statement comes in the aftermath of 4 homicides this week alone, including a double homicide on Monday. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
Music's finest artists converge in Bastia from June 22nd to June 24th for the 25th hosting of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Hitting the festival main stage will be Skillibeng, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Anthony B, Governor, Romain Virgo, TJ, Valiant.
Them boy don't got no bodies.
Grandmasters, Collision Band, Small X Band, New Vibes Band International, Mr. Bagdal, Akayu Sweet, Preedy, Guess the Band, Ricardo Drew, Patrice Roberts, Skinny Fabulous, Nyla Blackman, Status. Erica Edwards, 313 Family, Gramps Morgan, Nitra B, Ear Supply, Dexter Daps, and Burner Boy. It's the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from June 22nd to June 24th at Warner Park. An experience like no other. Tickets are now available at stkitsmusicfestival.com.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Cutting the food import bill of St. Kitts and Nevis by 25% by the year 2025 is what officials in agriculture on the two islands of the Federation were strategizing over the past few days. Following preliminary discussions on a matter between Federal Minister of Agriculture Samuel Duggins and Agriculture Minister in the Nevis Island Administration Eric Evelyn, the planning moved to involve a wider team from both islands at a recently held meeting in Charlestown, Nevis. There, the agriculture ministers expressed the view that together the country has the potential to achieve the goal.
The purpose of our engagement today is to bring some collaboration and cohesion between both St. Kitts and Nevis as far as our buy-in to the 25 by 25 agenda as set by CARICOM. While we have two different departments and ministries of agriculture based on our constitution, we thought it wise that we approach this matter as one country as we are. And so as a federal minister, I would have engaged with the minister, Mr. Evelyn, on Nevis, and we would have collaborated on the idea that St. Kitts and Nevis should move in one accord. And today we have brought our technical teams together so that we both can have a shared vision in our approach to the 25 by 25 agenda for St. Kitts and Nevis as one country. And I must say, discussions are going extremely well. And I believe that at the end of these discussions, we'll have a very well-formulated plan as to how we would both contribute to one agenda for 25 by 25.
To continue to do is to identify crops, certain crops, livestock products, marine products that we think has the potential for us to increase our production locally so that we can have a reduction by 25% or even more than 25% by the year 2025. I think that here in St. Kitts and Nevis we do have the potential to reach that target, and so what we're also trying to do is to identify what our strength, our weaknesses, our opportunities and our threats are in terms of reaching those targets. And so we have a very good cadre of agricultural experts, I would say, here today, and we've been having some very rich discussions, and I am hoping that as we continue these discussions that we will continue to coordinate. Very important for us to coordinate what is happening between both St. Kitts and Nevis.
The efforts form part of the food imports reduction targeted by CARICOM for the year 2025. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Senior leadership within the Ministry of Education met on Tuesday, June 6 at the National Housing Corporation's conference room to discuss and review the policies outlined in the Government of St. Kitts and Nevis Ministry of Education 2017-2021 Education Sector Plan, ESP. Mrs. Carla Mills Diamond, Acting Chief of Education Planning, communicated the reason for this activity.
the education sector plan is really supposed to be the blueprint that is governing what is happening in education over a certain period. The period for this current sector plan is actually 2017 to 2021. But because of the pandemic, we had to forego a number of the activities. And as a result, we're here to take stock. We want to look at the activities and see what have we accomplished and what is still outstanding.
Mrs. Mills-Diamond described the nature of the exercise.
And having looked at the background, we would have come up with exactly where the strategies and plans and policy issues that were addressed in the sector plan, where they came from.
Sharing the subsequent steps, Mrs. Mills-Diamond conveyed that the plan will be analyzed to see what has been accomplished thus far.
Today, we really just went to the sensitization, the background, the overarching goals. There are 3 overarching goals, which is access and participation, quality and relevance of education, and governance matters, including planning, management, and leadership. So we would have looked at those areas and would have seen, just reminded ourselves of what the plan was about, what were the overall goals and objectives. Moving forward, what we are going to do, we are going to be now analyzing the plan and seeing what have we accomplished so far, what is still outstanding, what is in progress. Having made that determination, we will then move on to our annual work plan. And our annual work plan will help us to prioritize those program areas and strategies that were actually not completed. So once that is done, we move from the annual work plan to having a sort of mini strategic plan depending on how many program areas are still outstanding. And then that will move on to inform what we are going to do for the next 5 years.
I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Music's finest artists converge in Bastia from June 22nd to June 24th for the 25th hosting of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Hitting the festival main stage will be Skillibeng, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Anthony B, Governor, Romaine Virgo, TJ, Valiant.
Them boy don't got no bodies.
Grand Masters, Collision Band, Small X Band, New Vibes Band International, Mr. Bagdal, Akayu Sweet, Preedy, Kess the Band, Ricardo Drew, Patrice Roberts, Skinny Fabulous, Nyla Blackman, Static. Erica Edwards, 313 Family, Gramps Morgan, Nitra B, Ear Supply, Dexter Daps, and Burner Boy. It's the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from June 22nd to June 24th at Warner Park. An experience like no other. Tickets are now available at stkittsmusicfestival.com.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
At least 42 people are now confirmed dead in Haiti after heavy rains and flooding over the weekend. Officials there say more than 13,000 homes were flooded and thousands of people have been displaced. And staying with Haiti, vigilante justice is on the rise in the Caribbean country as more people take matters into their own hands and fight back against violent robberies and other crimes committed by gang members. A Haitian human rights group says at least 160 suspected gang members have been killed by civilians. So joining us now is Gary Pierre. He's the founder and publisher of the Haitian Times and a former Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter for the New York Times. I'm really glad you are here joining us. We have seen some concerning, disturbing examples of vigilante justice, but in a way, I'm not surprised that in some cases things have come to this. Explain to our viewers why these vigilantes are taking justice into their own hands.
Well, thanks for having me, Anne-Marie. It's been happening for the last 4 years, where the population has been under siege from gangs, just recently, people just were fed up, and they've taken the law into their own hands. And it has had the effect of reducing kidnapping and other violence crimes in Haiti the last month or so. But we must be worried because vigilantism is not the answer to anything. This is a time for the police and the justice system apparatus to take hold, seize the opportunity to restore law and order. It is also an opportunity for the international community to help the police because the police are under and they are not well sourced. They don't have the things that they need to fight against these gangs. And now that the population has given the police a respite of sort, we need to really take hold of the situation before it gets worse, because this is not a long-term solution.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about the options that the international community could take. But I want to ask you about whether or not vigilante justice is actually working. I mean, are we seeing crime go down? Are we seeing the activities of gangs reduced?
Well, absolutely. They've been reduced tremendously. I mean, our reporting showed that there has been only one kidnapping in the last month or so, when before there were in the hundreds. And so it is working. But again, it's not the solution.
Right. And what about the greater population, the Haitian population? What is their opinion of this sort of justice? Because, I think every gang member is also part of the community, somebody's kid or parent, or so, it's not like they came from somewhere else.
Well, that's why they're so easy to target, because all along people always knew who they were, but they were afraid of them. And then all of a sudden, just groupthink, if you will, people decided enough is enough, because you push people so far and they're going to retaliate. And this is what's happening.
Okay, so let's talk about
I want to underscore something that you said. It's really important. You call them kids, because exactly that's what they are. Yeah. They are teenagers, and some of them are in their 20s, and they are really attacking their own. And that's been the problem. You're looking at the photos that you've been showing, the B-rolls. They're just kids. That's what they are, and it is a tragedy to be honest.
Well, it's a desperate situation, and sometimes desperate people make bad choices, for lack of a better phrase. But let us talk about what the international community can do to relieve this desperation. We've talked about this before, and there was a feeling that maybe the international community would not have been welcome because there have been other times where the international community has intervened, and it's been a disaster. On the flip side, there are countries sort of watching on the sidelines that are concerned about getting involved. What do you think would be the appropriate intervention here?
The appropriate intervention is to work with the police. I think the police, if given the proper ammunition, the proper material, can fight the gang and can win. And I think when we're looking at the past, where the U.S. sent 20,000 soldiers, this overkill, no pun intended. we need a strategic force to shore up the police, stabilize the country so the economy can return and commerce can resume and you can have a sense of normalcy, and then move towards elections, because right now there's no elected official in Haiti.
Right.
So this is a democracy in name only, and this work needs to be done. And I think the international community can help if it really wants to do it in a way that benefits Haiti and the international community's interests as well.
Right. Gary Pierre, thanks for joining us again.
A pleasure.
Last week, Virgin Atlantic announced its inter-island flights, departing from Barbados to Grenada and St. Vincent. While there has been some feedback on the price, which starts at $307 return fare, Virgin Atlantic country manager Caribbean Hannah Swift says not only is the price comparable to that of competitors, but it's good value for money.
We are doing what we can to keep our prices as good as we can get them, so we benchmark against competition. We try to be as fair as possible when it comes to our prices to make sure that it's affordable for as many people to travel as possible.
As to what's to be expected on board, she says the best-in-class experience for domestic Caribbean travel.
You're going to get a drink and a snack when you get on. You're going to have access to our in-flight entertainment, so you can listen to our Barbados playlist that we have on board at the moment. And another benefit is that you'll be able to take 23 kilograms of baggage with you, and if you want to, you can purchase additional baggage. So if you're taking down some snacks to family and friends, you can stock up and take advantage of our bigger aircraft.
Ms. Swift adds the flights will be a massive benefit to Caribbean people.
From family and friends who want to go and see family that they've not seen for a while, to schools, sports groups like cricket who are going to go and play one of the other islands, to businesses who will be able to go and spend a day in another island and get some really important business done.
The inter-island service is set to begin next week, Wednesday. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Take you to some breaking news now out of France, where at least 4 children and an adult have been injured in a knife attack. It happened in the town of Annecy in the French Alps. The children are all around 3 years old, and 2 of them are in a life-threatening condition. Police say the attacker is a Syrian refugee with legal status in France, and he's been arrested. President Emmanuel Macron has called the attack an act of absolute cowardice. A moment of silence was observed in the French Parliament. Well, let's speak to Natasha Butler. She's in the French capital for us. Natasha, what more do we know about this attack right now?
Yes, really, this is every parent's nightmare. A man stabbing children in early morning. Police say that the attack happened around 9:45 local time in France in the lakeside city of Annecy at the foot of Eyewitnesses described seeing a man climb over the fence into this playground, which is in the middle of a park in the town, and they said they saw the man lunging at some children. Well, one woman said that she thought he was trying to play with some of the children, but then they heard people screaming and running away. So really terrible scenes there in Annecy. Now, what the French police are saying is that they have arrested a man. He was trying to flee the scene after this attack. He is a suspect. They say that they found an identity paper on him, which said that he was a Syrian asylum seeker who gained asylum in Sweden but was based in France. He wasn't known, though, to the police. So terrible scenes there in this alpine city of Annecy.
Just awful. Natasha, I see President Macron has already spoken about this. It's obviously potentially very politically sensitive, I imagine.
Well, I think at this stage there's just more a sense of shock, amongst the public. These playgrounds that are in parks, you see them in every city, in every village in France. In the early hours of the morning, it's summer at the moment. Parents go out with their young children, nannies and carers. The kids are in the sandpit or on the slides. The last thing that you could imagine happening is the children being vulnerable to this kind of violence and this sort of attack. And we understand that at least 2 children out of the several that were injured, at least 2 of them are in a critical condition. This is just a terrible thing to have happened, and to children. As you said, some of them as young as 3 years old. One eyewitness saying that she saw the man also lunging at children in a pram. So people incredibly shocked here in France. MPs in France's National Assembly had a minute's silence, and the French President, Emmanuel Macron, has called this attack cowardly, and I can imagine that many people will agree with them as they try to absorb this violence that has happened, as I said, with such young people, so vulnerable, just children.
Just awful. Natasha Butler there with the latest for us from Paris. Thank you, Natasha.
One by one, elected delegates were sworn in to again begin the process of writing a new constitution for Chile. This time there are only 50 of them, far fewer than the convention that drew up a draft constitution last year that Chileans ultimately rejected as too radical. Opening the council, President Gabriel Boric appealed to delegates to seek consensus.
I hope this constitution will bring our citizens closer to politics, that it will highlight the importance of dialogue between people who think differently, to reach accords for the good of the country, a constitution that will deliver long-term certainty and stability.
But if the first council was dominated by the left, this time the pendulum has swung the other way, with conservatives now dominating the chamber. In an attempt to avoid the mistakes made last time, Congress appointed a bipartisan commission of experts to write a preliminary draft that had to include defining Chile as a republic that guarantees social rights and equality. It is a less ambitious version than the last one. However, the right-wing Republican Party has enough votes in this council now to veto anything that it chooses. And that is fueling fear that a new constitution that is supposed to finally replace the one written under Chile's former military dictatorship will fall far short of what the country needs.
This process has to take charge of the social demands that led to an important uprising in this country. That will be the key challenge for this council.
It's a concern even for moderate conservatives like Gloria Hutt.
We have to avoid falling into the same trap we did last year, in which a majority imposed its will without listening to the minority. That would be a mistake, because we need a constitution that will be respected by governments from the left, the right and the center. There must be a consensus.
Outside, extreme right-wing protesters, many of whom supported the former dictatorship, decried the council as a betrayal, while inside, delegates promised dialogue and cooperation. The question is, will it last? Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
The St. Kitts Nevis National Track and Field Championships will be held at the Nevis Athletics Stadium this Sunday, June 9th at 1 p.m. President of SKN Athletics, Delvin Delaney, says preparations have been going well for the Federation's major track meet of the year.
Preparations have been going quite well. We anticipate some high-level competition, albeit a lot of the athletes who are stationed overseas in the US-based athletes are returned in home, and some are already returned home to compete this weekend, this Sunday, at the Nevis Athletics Stadium. And so we anticipate high-level competition both from the locals and those who are US-based athletes.
Nationals is even more important this year because it's a World Championship year and other competitions are on the horizon.
Albeit the World Championships will be held this summer in Budapest, Hungary. But apart from that, though, there are many other lead-up meets, such as the CAC Games. And after the World Championships, there's the Pan Am Games. There's also the NACAC under 18 and under 23 championships. There's the Commonwealth Youth Championships. That aged is under 18 as well. And so we see not only the seniors will be displaying their talents this weekend, but also the juniors as well, as they have much to attain to, as we would say, the postseason of track and field.
And why host this year's competition at the Nevis Athletic Stadium?
The decision was made based on the surface of the tracks. We believe that the Nevis Athletic Stadium is in a better condition to host this event. It also lends to 9 lanes opposed to 8 lanes at the Kim Collins Stadium at this present moment. And we, coming off the club championships 2 weeks ago, we saw some real good solid times from our local clubs here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we anticipate, once we have favorable weather and wind, we anticipate some fast times, some great distances as well come this weekend.
Admission to this year's national championships is $10. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. The Sugar Boys are settling in training camp in Miami as they get ready for their crucial CONCACAF Gold Cup preliminary match against Curacao on June 16th. Manager of the team, Jameer Claxton, has reported that things have been going smoothly thus far.
The St. Kitts Nevis delegation arrived safely in Miami, Florida on June 5th in preparation for the Gold Cup. We had personnel joining us not only from St. Kitts and Nevis, but from the UK and here in the US. We are currently preparing at Kaiser University, which is our pre-tournament training base, and everything has been going well so far. As part of the preparation, the team is engaged in daily sessions coordinated by the technical director, Mr. Lenny Taylor, and the head coach, Austin Deco Huggins. We also have 2 friendly matches lined up against clubs from within the state of Florida. So on June 8th and on June 12th.
Mr. Claxton said everyone is in good spirits.
Everyone has been in good spirits, both players and staff. I mean, we've been working diligently behind the scene to ensure that we create the necessary environment for the guys to stay focused and prepare as best as possible. We know that we have a humongous task at hand, but we're very motivated to achieve something that we've never achieved before as a country. So we're working and we're looking forward to making the country proud.
The Sugar Boys will play Curacao on June 16th and, if successful, will play the winner of French Guiana versus Dutch St. Martin on June 20th in order to qualify for the Gold Cup, which would be an historic feat for St. Kitts and Nevis.